Okay, well, hi everyone. We're going to be looking today at our first video in trigonometry. Just a quick recap of Pythagoras' theorem. Do you remember Pythagoras' theorem? So if they gave you, for example, 3, 4, and they said to you, what is C? How would you find C? So it's a squared plus b squared equals to c squared, right? So in this case, it's going to be 3 squared plus 4 squared equals to c squared, because that's what we don't know. So 9 plus 16 is equal to c squared. So then you get 25 equals to c squared. That's not the answer. The answer is I have to take the square root of both sides. So it's going to be c is equal to 5. Now, usually remember we do plus or minus 5, but in this case we don't, because it's a measurement and it's always positive. So c is equal to 5 in this instant, and we stop there, right? So this is our famous triad, and I always like to start my trigonometry with this triad, because then I know that you know the answer to the questions that I'm about to pose. Okay, so let's say, for example, they've given me 3 and 5, and they're asking me for this one. Now, I know you know from the previous question, it's going to be 4. But let's say, for argument's sake, we didn't know. Why is trigonometry helpful? Because in this case, they've given us 2 sides and no angle. So we can definitely use Pythagoras' theorem, right? But what happens if they don't give us that? What if they give us, 20 degrees here, which is the measurement there? Okay, and they ask us for that side. This is where Pythagoras is not very helpful, so we have to use our trigonometry. Okay, so how do we use trigonometry? First of all, I should say trigonometry, we use something called trig ratios, and the trig ratios basically state that sine theta equals opposite over hypotenuse, cos theta is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tan theta is opposite over adjacent, okay? And I'll show you a little acronym that we use to help, which is some old houses can always hide their old age. And that just helps me remember what goes on top, what goes on the bottom. But let's talk about labeling for this one. So how do I label? So it's always in reference to theta. So say theta here, or theta just means the angle. Okay, so say here, that's my theta, all right? So then I label everything according to that. So in that case, that's opposite, because that's opposite of theta. That's hypotenuse, because that's always the hypotenuse, that never changes. And then next to theta is going to be my adjacent. So if I wanted to do sine theta of that diagram there, sine theta would be opposite over hypotenuse from here. Okay, and what is opposite here? It's A, and what is hypotenuse? It's C. So it's A over C. And that's it. So this is called writing a ratio, right? Because remember, ratio is something over something, like a division. Now, just keep in mind that sine theta is just a number, okay? So if I gave you theta to be 20 degrees, sine of theta would be sine of 20. So do that on your calculator and you'll see it's just a long decimal, okay?